Something to check on a home or any other structure with soffit is going to be is the areas up there. So that's what's going to be under your shingles on your roof. That soffit is intended to protect any attic space or any space in the rafters. So if any is loose, if any shows any signs of damage, that's something that we'd come and we'd look at and we'd repair. All of this looks good. I wouldn't worry about this, but that's definitely something that I would consider.
Very good. All right.
Porches, something else to look for. If you see any holes, any digging, any major movement under the porch, that's going to be an armadillo. It might be possums. That's something that we can easily take care of. And we can also actually exclude porches. Porches and sheds are another thing that we can come in. If the wildlife needs to be removed, we'll remove it. Or what we can do is we can dig down, trench down some fencing or that hardware cloth to make sure that they can't enter.
So I found a hole the other day. What would you say this hole is?
Okay, so coming over here, looking at this hole, the idea that, or the thing that I'd be looking for most is any tail drag. And it looks like this right here is gonna be a tail drag. So this is gonna be an armadillo hole, actually.
Wow.
Usually if you can see the hole itself, if it's round, and this one you can't because it's a little up and under there, but if it's a complete circle or close to it, that's gonna be armadillo, whereas a tortoise is gonna be a half moon. It's going to look more like a half circle. So, and just think about the shape of their shell. A tortoise shell is more like this, and armadillo is more round. They do occasionally share burrows, but going under a home is usually going to be armadillo as well.
And what can we do to help with that?
Armadillos have anywhere from 9 to 12 burrows, so they are usually moving around. But what I do is I make sure I monitor if there's a hole that's under a home. We monitor that hole via camera. We have a remote camera that sends pictures to our phone, and then the second I see an armadillo go into that hole, we come out and we trap. Armadillos aren't baitable with anything but other armadillo scent. So unless you have another armadillo, it's kind of tricky to do. So what we typically do is we just monitor the hole. If we don't see anything for a couple of days, I suggest for the homeowner just fill it.
Okay.
That's your best option.
Wow.
And then use a type of deterrent to kind of keep them from
And
coming
what would
back.
be a deterrent to keep them away?
A great deterrent for armadillos is actually cayenne pepper. They have very, very sensitive noses, and that's how they navigate most of the world. So if you put cayenne pepper down, that does work pretty well as a deterrent. We also have a combination. It's a cayenne pepper, coyote urine, and a few other spices that work really well as an armadillo deterrent. It's not a solve if you have a major armadillo problem. You're gonna have to get those armadillos out, but it does work to deter.
Okay. All right, let's do some more walking. All right, so Corinne's eagle eyes have spotted another burrow.
Yeah, so coming around here, you can see it's not necessarily that there's a burrow right here, but you can tell that there's movement. I can't tell exactly from here what it is. It's probably raccoon, could be possum, but there are paw prints going under the deck here. This is one where I would definitely come in and I would suggest excluding. And so that would be a simple trench out. We'd put in that hardware cloth. It's resistant to wildlife. It's galvanized, so it's weatherproof. We put that down in there, and that would actually keep them from going under. Putting it down far enough is important so that armadillos don't continue to dig under it.
Very good. So possums, that's everybody's big thing because of EPM with horses. So how often do you come in and go, well, you got a possum and you got to do something about it? How easy is it to trap them?
Possums are not difficult to trap, but they are plentiful. They are very prolific, so it's typically not just one possum in the area. Usually if someone has a concern with possums, we do a 1 to 2 week trapping. You're probably gonna get some raccoons as well. They tend to follow the same baits, but that's something that it would be a population reduction and then an exclusion to make sure that you can reduce the entry point. Since they live outside, like raccoons, unless it's actually in the building, it's more of a management program. You'll never get rid of all the possums in the world, but you can at least help reduce that entry on your property.
Very good. All right, let's do some more walking.
So that's not like super damaged, but that's something I would note. Just, hey, there is some soffit damage here. That's not something a wildlife would get into, but still something we'd look at.
Okay.
Any digging along the
So
edges?
I walk this property a lot of the times and I don't see half the stuff that Corinne just saw. And that's why we're bringing out professionals like this so that they can see what their specialty is to help you get better with your farm and property so that we can protect our animals, ourselves, and all that, because you also do houses, right?
Oh yeah, yep.
So any kind of, like Luis always says, you know, if you have a horse, you have a dog. If you have a barn, you probably have a house.
Yep.
Even though this is my house, so I have a trailer, but it's still a house and it's around a barn. So having you come out is great so that it can protect us, protect our animals, and help the wildlife stay away from where we don't want them, because we did come to their place.
Yep.
So
that is the truth. It's just keeping it separate, right?
That's right.
We love wildlife, just not in our home.
that's right.
So something I noticed here, you can see that there's digging along in the end of these flower beds. This is just gonna be, this could be a number of things. It could be armadillo, it could be rodent, it could be possum or raccoon, but it's just sign that there is something on this property looking for food. All of those are gonna be digging, looking for grubs and worms. That's a food source for all those animals. But it's something that I would note. Here's a little bit more fresh. And actually that could be mole. No, it's just a hole. So because there's a hole there, you can kind of see, my finger poked it a little bit, but if you look on this side, it does kind of make a hole. That's going to be the snout of an armadillo. So this probably was armadillo here, maybe the one that was over there, looking for some sort of grubs in these flower beds.
Very good. All right, we want to thank Corinne for her time and expertise, and we'll see you next time on the next part.